Poor Jimmy. True, it was a terrible night for women, children, and for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who cut his lawn.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech.
What happens when Greg Gutfeld's sarcasm's sharpest blade links up with Megyn Kelly, the frostbite queen of televised takedowns? It's not a roast. It's a public cremation. And Jimmy Kimmel, he's the main course. He tried clapping back, but it landed like a soggy napkin in a hurricane. This wasn't late-night beef. It was a 5-star humiliation. Back in the goofy sitcom that is late-night TV, Kimmel was just a harmless jester juggling celeb gossip and taco jokes. Then something flipped.
You know how much it costs to produce Jimmy Kimmel's show? I guarantee you it's tens and tens of millions. It could be as much as 100 million. I have no idea. You know how much Tucker's video cost? Nothing. You know how much Jimmy Kimmel, how many people he gets tuning in on an average night? Just last week, his average was in the overall, meaning all viewers, 1.5 million. In the key demo, 236,000. Tucker would have been embarrassed to pull that on any night he was on the Fox News channel. That's what they're getting now. Tucker's numbers were 3 times what Jimmy Kimmel gets. And Tucker's little basement video that he did from clearly like his cabin that he broadcasts out of Maine in literally has 21 million views. Okay, 21 million views. Whereas, as I point out, on ABC, a massive network that comes into your home for free, that you have to make no effort to find, at best, Jimmy Kimmel can get 1.5 million. He needs to have a little self-perspective before going out there and hurling these insults because he looks a little silly.
The guy known for beer pong and spring break gags looked in the mirror and declared himself America's moral compass. That's right. He traded in his solo cup for a sermon. The result? More awkward than Mike Pence doing stand-up. Meanwhile, Gutfeld, top of the ratings, roasting egos like ribs at a backyard barbecue, didn't let the transformation slide. He put it on blast. Loud, proud, and probably with glitter. While Kimmel was busy repackaging lectures as monologues, Gutfeld was torching hypocrisy with jokes that needed hazard warnings. Jimmy hid behind velvet ropes of virtue. Greg kicked them down in clown shoes, ratings in hand. Then came the punchline diagnosis. Moral overcompensation syndrome. Symptoms, weak jokes. Guilty sniffles, moral grandstanding. Greg's cure, ruthless mockery. He jackhammered through Kimmel's sanctimony like it owed him rent. Remember, this is the same guy who faked viral twerking fails and now acts like your barista after reading one think piece. And Greg had receipts.
CNN, MSNBC, CBS, the town crier. All outlets ignoring Biden's revolving door of gaffes. His constant forgetfulness, weird rambling speeches being let off stage. All the while you told us there's nothing to see here. Meanwhile, any parent can see this face means you got to change a diaper. I learned that. Even those in the media who didn't defend Biden's mental acuity surely didn't cover it. And this refusal to acknowledge the truth is a betrayal of it. Meanwhile, what is this right-wing outrage you speak of? Hell, we were the only ones pointing out what every American could see.
Piles of clips, outdated punchlines, and man-show footage that aged like spoiled milk. Greg didn't critique. He performed a televised autopsy. Jimmy's comedy? Dead on arrival. His jokes sounded like they were written by a committee of nervous interns. Then Megyn stepped in. If Greg brought the scalpel, Megyn brought the flamethrower. Calm, cold, surgical. She didn't scream. She didn't flinch. She simply alphabetized Kimmel's hypocrisy and filed it under K for karma. Let's rewind. The man show. The frat boy circus of jiggling cheerleaders and beer bongs. That was peak Kimmel. Now he's Hollywood's moral lifeguard. Megyn called it for what it was. A pivot from party clown to sanctimonious priest. No frills, no mercy. She exposed his image makeover like expired yogurt at checkout. Because when your moral high ground is built on a blooper reel you hope no one remembers, it only takes one person to press rewind. She reminded everyone, this is the same guy who begged women to bounce for ratings, now canceling others for edgy tweets. Hypocrisy so thick it could power a small city. Stern-level jokes that once aired proudly, now buried under a polished PR rug. No laugh track, just cold, brutal facts. And the cruelest part, she wasn't wrong. Watching a jokester turn into a preacher is like watching a dog walk on two legs. Impressive for a second, then just uncomfortable.
Fast. Case in point, last night, all the other late-night hosts threw a hissy fit. It's too bad Tim Waltz is still grieving, or he could send them all a sack of industrial-strength tampons.
They saw what we saw. They saw the frail elderly man who needed help getting off the stage. They're just too chicken shit to tell us about it because they deduce that he could still be the Democratic nominee and they don't want to ding him up. Maybe you give Barbara a pass. Who gives a damn what this singer saw or says? But you know what? Jimmy Kimmel happens to be employed by ABC, which happens to have a rather large news organization. And he has been one of President Trump's most vocal critics. Where are you, Jimmy? On vacation? Not good enough. You can still use your thumbs to send out a tweet. You could set the record straight right now, but you won't.
Megyn nailed it. Kimmel traded honesty for applause. Fake applause, the hollow cheer of an audience that came for jokes but got lectures. Greg lit up the scoreboard with sarcasm. Megyn laid out the timeline like courtroom evidence. Exhibit A, Jimmy Kimmel. B, everything he wishes we'd forget. She didn't twist the knife, she just held up the mirror and let Jimmy's reflection bleed out. What they revealed wasn't a comedian. It was a mouthpiece, parroting causes he barely skimmed on Wikipedia. And Kimmel, he stayed silent. Maybe the cue cards were stuck. Or maybe he realized defending a crumbling brand isn't worth the breath. The mask cracked. Greg mocked the irony of a man decrying misinformation while dishing out monologues spun tighter than a press secretary's brief. Megyn hit even harder. This wasn't a man fighting cancel culture. It was a man sanitizing his past like it was a Super Bowl ad for bleach. The audience wasn't begging for an apology. They wanted something real. What they got? The truth no one on his team dared whisper. Kimmel's reinvention wasn't courage, it was corporate. A pivot packaged by PR, not principle. It smelled like branding, not growth. Greg lit the fuse. Megyn dropped the hammer. And Jimmy? He stayed in his lane, throwing jabs sideways, never up, never at anything his handlers hadn't pre-cleared. Once the outsider who mocked the Hollywood machine, he became the machine, complete with scripted guilt, engineered empathy, and designer tears aired between luxury sponsors. That's why it landed. This wasn't a roast. It was a reckoning. Greg brought the gas. Megyn struck the match. Jimmy brought a mirror, but only looked long enough to see what he wanted. No punchline necessary. Because when two seasoned snipers dismantle your act without breaking a sweat, the joke's not just on you. You are the joke. Still with us? Drop a comment. Do you buy Kimmel's rebrand? If this roast lit you up, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and stay locked in for the next takedown. Because trust us, we're just getting warmed up.